Hello everyone, this is Elena, and today I'm going to be doing a video tutorial on how I color the skin. This is a follow-up video on the one I did yesterday, which was how I do the clean sketch. And so let's get with the video. Okay, so the first thing I do is I make 2 extra layers. And the first layer, which is going to be the skin layer, is going to be directly underneath the clean sketch layer. And I forgot to mention this in the last video, but as soon as you're done with your clean sketch or your line art, you have to click on preserve opacity. And what that is, I'll show you later on, that way you know why. And then for the other layer, it's going to be used to color the entire drawing one color. That way you're able to see what you're coloring and if there's any spaces that needs to be filled in. And that layer will be directly on underneath the skin layer. It'll actually be the very last layer. Okay, so for when I color, whether it's the skin or the clothes or the hair or whatever, any kind of coloring, the brushes that I use are normally the pencil tool and the marker tool. And the reason why I use the pencil tool instead of the sketch brush is because the pencil brush actually fills in quite nicely, while the sketch brush doesn't really fill it in as good. Like there's still some spaces, some uncolored areas when you use the sketch tool. So it's best to use the pencil tool. And then as for the marker I use for shading. And if you use a tablet, which is what I use, you don't have to constantly keep changing the colors, which is very useful when you use the marker brush. So what it is, the lighter you press down on your tablet, the more the color comes out more like lighter. And then the harder you press down, the darker the color becomes. So you should really use that to your advantage. And eventually, once you can't get a darker color when you press down, that's when you start to change the color manually. And normally for shading, I like to blend in with different colors. I never actually used a blur tool or watercolor tool to kind of blend anything in together, because my style is more kind of messy. So I like a kind of painting messy style, so I don't really blend anything in unless it's absolutely necessary, but I like to use different colors to kind of blend things in more naturally. I never really use completely like white to color the white part of the eyes, because the reason why I put that is because I found that when you color the white part of the eyes a little bit like gray and then shade it a little bit darker, it really makes the eyes pop. I was trying to plan on how I was gonna color the eyes, because I'm not really quite sure how I want to color the hair. Right now I'm thinking about either coloring the hair purple or blue, so I'm trying to see if having yellow eyes would be compatible with either colors. To make a certain glow effect with the eyes, I like to use the luminosity mode for an additional layer. And you put that additional layer on top of the skin layer, and then make sure you click on clipping group. That way, whatever you do in that clipping group layer it will stay within the skin layer, so it won't be all over the place. Which is why locking layers is very helpful, especially if you already done the base coloring and you lock the layer, which locking the layer is doing the preserve opacity, which I mentioned earlier. So if you do that then, and you try to shade and stuff like that, you're only going to be shading on that specific layer. It won't be all over the place. And so when you use the luminosity mode, the color tends to have like a certain glowing effect. Now with your locked clean sketch layer or line art layer, this is when we're going to be coloring the layer, the clean sketch or line art layer. So if you put the clean sketch or line art layer with a preserve opacity, it should be locked. And so if it's locked, then you should be able to color your lines, and only your lines. Video. In the next video, I'll be doing a video tutorial on how I color my character's hair. If you like this video, please leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.